Tonight, a cow becomes the center of an unexpected investigation. A farmer guards his secrets a little too closely. And the police find something inside a barn that no one in Texas or anywhere else could have seen coming. In the heart of Cedar Creek, Texas, where life moves slow, neighbors know each other by name, and the most exciting events are county fairs and Friday night football games, there is a farm owned by a man named Tom Weaver. To most, Tom was just another hard-working farmer, a quiet man who kept to himself, tending to his land and livestock with the dedication you'd expect from someone born and raised in the heartland. But Tom wasn't like the other farmers. While most farmers cared for their animals equally, Tom had an unusual obsession with a particular cow, a beautiful, healthy Holstein he named Daisy. Unlike the rest of his herd, Daisy was kept separate, housed in her own special pen far from the other cows. Tom built her a custom shelter, spent hours each day by her side, and even installed a set of surveillance cameras aimed directly at her enclosure. At first, the neighbors thought Tom was just eccentric. After all, people get attached to animals, right? But as the months passed, his behavior grew increasingly strange. He stopped socializing completely, avoided town gatherings, and if anyone asked about Daisy, he'd change the subject quickly. Some locals joked about it being a cow crush, but underneath the jokes was an unsettling feeling. Something wasn't right. Mike Reynolds, a neighbor who worked part-time repairing fences and farm equipment in the area, became particularly suspicious. Mike often passed Tom's property on his way to work, and he started noticing strange things. Bright lights flickering from Tom's barn late at night, odd mechanical noises that didn't sound like regular farm equipment, and Tom's truck coming and going at unusual hours. One evening, while repairing a fence near Tom's property, Mike heard a sound that made him freeze. A low, mechanical hum mixed with what sounded like beeping. Curiosity got the better of him. He crept closer, staying hidden behind the tall grass lining the field. Peering through a gap in the barn wall, he saw something he couldn't explain. Inside the barn, Daisy was standing calmly, but she wasn't alone. Tom was there, surrounded by strange electronic devices, metallic equipment with blinking lights, wires snaking across the floor, and several monitors displaying complex graphs and data streams. Daisy had what appeared to be sensors attached to her body, connected by thin cables to the machinery. Mike's heart raced. This wasn't normal, not for a farm, not for anywhere. The next morning, Mike called the local sheriff's department and reported suspicious activity. Within hours, deputies arrived at Tom's farm requesting to inspect the property. Tom greeted them with a forced smile, clearly nervous. He stumbled over his words, his hands trembling slightly as he insisted there was nothing unusual going on. But when officers asked to see the barn, Tom's demeanor changed. He became defensive, agitated, blocking their path and claiming it was his private workspace. This reaction only raised more suspicions. The deputies left, but not for long. Armed with a search warrant, they returned later that afternoon. Tom tried to stop them again, but this time they escorted him aside while they investigated the property. When the officers opened the barn doors, they were met with a scene that left them stunned. The barn wasn't a barn at all, not in the traditional sense. It had been converted into a makeshift laboratory. The walls were lined with shelves stacked with scientific equipment, computers, monitors, strange metal containers, and devices that none of the officers could identify. The air was filled with the faint hum of machinery mixed with a metallic scent, almost sterile, like a hospital. In the center of the barn stood Daisy, calm and indifferent, as if she were used to all of this. She was wearing a custom-fitted harness covered in sensors and electrodes, with thin wires running from her body to several monitoring devices. Screens nearby displayed real-time data, heart rate, brainwave patterns, body temperature, and other biometric information. At first glance, it looked like some bizarre scientific experiment, but as the deputies dug deeper, they realized this was more than just an eccentric farmer's hobby. Hidden in a locked cabinet, they found classified documents, encrypted hard drives, and detailed notes outlining something much bigger. A project labeled Project Sentinel. The notes described experiments on animal-based biometric detection systems, focusing on Daisy's natural instincts and reactions to environmental changes. Tom wasn't just monitoring Daisy's health. He was attempting to create a system that could predict natural disasters, track subtle shifts in seismic activity, and even detect changes in atmospheric pressure long before human technology could. But here's where things got even stranger. Authorities discovered that Tom wasn't working alone. His computer contained email exchanges with individuals linked to unidentified organizations, some of which were traced back to foreign entities and undisclosed research groups. The equipment in his barn was far too advanced and expensive for a simple farmer to afford on his own. Why was this technology hidden on a farm in rural Texas? Who funded it, and why was Tom so desperate to keep it a secret? The FBI was called in, and Tom was arrested immediately on charges related to unauthorized research activities, possession of classified materials, and potential violations of national security protocols. During interrogations, Tom remained mostly silent, offering vague answers and claiming he was doing important work for the future of humanity. He refused to name his contacts or explain how he acquired the technology. As the investigation unfolded, more questions than answers emerged. Some speculated that Tom had stumbled upon something revolutionary, technology that could change the way we understand environmental science. Others believed he was a front for a larger, covert operation, possibly involving private intelligence agencies or even government-backed black projects. Daisy, surprisingly, was in perfect health and was eventually relocated to a local animal sanctuary, where she became something of a legend, a cow at the center of a mystery that reached far beyond the fences of Cedar Creek. To this day, the full extent of what Tom was working on remains classified. His barn was sealed, his equipment confiscated, and the files he left behind were never publicly disclosed. What do you think Tom was really doing on that farm? Was he a rogue scientist on the brink of a breakthrough, or part of something far more complex and secretive? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoy real-life mysteries and stories that leave you questioning everything, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because sometimes the quietest places hide the biggest secrets.